The argument that the book was better, I feel, has lost relevance to whether the adaptation, be it film, animation, video game, etc., is good or bad. For example, though much was changed in the Lord of the Rings film trilogy, Peter Jackson's, it is hailed as masterful. However, with Ready Player One, many are saying because much was changed, it is bad. My thoughts on Ready Player One? It's a well-produced film, and ultimately was very entertaining. For me, that was sufficient. Now, I never read the book, and I'm sure the book was better, but I also don't subscribe to the belief that making changes to the source material makes the movie bad. People praise the MCU movies, and they change fundamental aspects of the Marvel comics all the time. Why do people everywhere love them? They're well-made movies. I believe Ready Player One is well-made. Whether the book was better or not does not change that. Sure, there were moments where pop culture visual references distracted me from the expository dialogue, but I was never lost with the plot. Somehow, I was able to follow along even with Tracer and the Iron Giant being shoved into my face. Now, when I say shoved, I certainly do not imply it was a negative experience. In fact, I was overjoyed that the things I am passionate about are recognized in the mainstream. The fact that thousands upon thousands of the general populace are now exposed to those things that inspired me puts a smile on my face. Is it a perfect movie? No! I stopped all my attempts at searching for that after Man of Steel. I absolutely love Superman and adore Man of Steel. My point is that adapting elements of the source material is important when translating what is written on page to what is visually represented on screen. Keep in mind that there are changes from what is written for the film on paper to what we see in theaters. If that is the case, then I guarantee you there will be differences between the source material and the final product of adaptation. Just a wild guess. Claiming a movie is bad simply because the material it was based on had differences is as much a fallacy as the straw man argument. If you find flaws with a film, I believe it only makes sense to critique it within the context of such. I can't expect a structure that works in the medium of books to work as well on screen. Movies are simply not made that way. In a book, you have the option of not turning a page, so if you misread something, dozed off, skipped a paragraph, you can just reread what you missed. In the movie theater, you can't pause and rewind. That said, if you do watch a movie at home, you have the luxury of doing so. Personally, I wouldn't want to pause or rewind on my first viewing. I prefer to watch a film in its entirety to be able to form my initial thoughts on it clearly. Imagine, if you will, watching the opening titles to Star Wars, then pausing because it's boring. Nothing is happening besides words scrolling on screen. Pausing to form that thought hurts the integrity of the filmmaking process. You haven't given the movie a chance to show the context of this moment. You miss the reason for such a big introduction. Immediately after the text scrolls, a large Star Destroyer appears on screen shooting at a small Corvette. You see why there was a need for a long and seemingly tedious wall of text in space. It was a grand introduction for a grand visual. Even thinking back to the Dick Donner Superman movie, of which Star Wars' title sequence was based on, it is an even longer title sequence that seems boring. However, the scene to follow is a visual wonder as Krypton is introduced. Seems boring nowadays without big action or tons of movement on screen. But that is my point. The elements of film that have context and purpose can have that context lost on the viewer, if not seen within the context it was designed for. This is why I dislike pausing, fast-forwarding, or rewinding movies on my first viewing, even if it is at home. That said, there are cases in which doing so is necessary. I mean, bathroom breaks are important during the Lord of the Rings trilogy marathon. So how could you rate a film on its own merits if you are comparing it to an entirely different medium? To sum up, you can't compare the taste of an apple to that of an orange to determine if the apple is a good apple. All in all, these are my thoughts, and you have your own. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe. When you do, hit that bell icon to be notified of future videos. Also, feel free to join the Riconius Discord for further discussions with me and fellow viewers. See you next time.